So you want to boost your testosterone. Huh. And naturally, too, which is smart because we're talking about way more than just hitting the gym and building muscle, right?
It's true. Testosterone sometimes gets that guy thing label slapped on it, but honestly, it's crucial for both men and women.
Exactly. And that's why I'm so pumped about this deep dive. We're going deep on this Healthline article you send over. 8 proven ways to increase testosterone levels naturally. It really highlights how this impacts, well, everything. Energy, mood, heart health, even how sharp you feel mentally.
Right, it's like the ultimate life hack.
Totally. And the best part, no crazy potions or expensive treatments.
Love that. It's about working with your body, not against it. Which is something Healthline does a great job of getting across. They showcase how important testosterone is for overall health and longevity.
It really is like the ultimate multitasker of hormones. Disease risk, libido, mental sharpness. Who wouldn't want to optimize that? And speaking of optimizing, they kick things off with my personal favorite exercise. Specifically, weightlifting and HIIT. Those are their top testosterone boosters.
Yeah, and there's actually a fascinating reason why those workouts are so effective. Think of it like this. Your body responds to challenges, right? So when you're lifting heavy weights or doing those bursts of high-intensity intervals, your body's like, whoa, gotta ramp up that testosterone production.
Huh, I love that. It's like tapping into our inner cave person in a good way.
Yeah.
Like our ancestors weren't doing CrossFit, but they were sprinting from saber-toothed tigers, hauling heavy stuff.
Yeah.
Their bodies adapted.
Exactly. And this isn't just some fitness fad, by the way. Healthline even cited a study where exercise actually outperformed calorie restriction alone for boosting testosterone.
Wow. See, that's compelling stuff, especially since, and you mentioned this off air, you're not the biggest fan of crazy strict diets,
No, not at all.
which is perfect because I was excited to see Healthline debunks that whole manly diet myth. Remember those old school bodybuilding magazines pushing like raw eggs and steak for breakfast?
Oh, yeah.
Thank goodness those days are over.
Seriously, those extreme diets can totally backfire on you, messing with your hormones big time. Healthline emphasizes a much more, well, sane approach, right? It's about focusing on what to include. Adequate protein to actually give your body the building blocks for testosterone, healthy fats, which are crucial for hormone production in general, and yes, even carbs.
You need that energy to fuel your workouts and keep your metabolism going.
Exactly. It's all about balance.
I love it. Now, while we're on the topic of things that can throw our hormones out of whack, that stress, Healthline calls it a seesaw relationship with testosterone. As stress goes up, testosterone takes a nosedive.
Yeah, and it really comes down to cortisol. When you're chronically stressed, your body is pumping out that cortisol like there's no tomorrow, and unfortunately, that directly interferes with testosterone production. Your body's stuck in that fight or flight mode, so it doesn't really have the resources to dedicate to optimal hormone balance.
Makes sense, and something I think we could all relate to, on some level at least. It's like
Yeah.
modern life is just go, go, go.
Yeah.
Deadlines, demands, always something. You mentioned being into meditation. Does that help you manage that stress response?
Definitely helps, yeah. And Healthline, actually, they touch on a few other really practical stress management techniques that anybody can use, whether you're meditating or not. Sleep is a huge one. I mean, huge. And we're going to get into that more deeply in a bit for sure.
Yep.
But even simple stuff, you know, deep breathing exercises, spending time in nature, just carving out a little time for hobbies you enjoy. These things make a world of difference, really.
It's about hitting that reset button, I guess, getting your body out of that constant state of high alert.
Exactly. Couldn't have said it better myself.
So we've got exercise, we've got nutrition, we've got stress management. It's like we're building this solid foundation for healthy testosterone here.
It's all connected, yeah.
Now, let's talk about some of the other things that Healthline highlights, like vitamin D. I always knew it as the sunshine vitamin, obviously. Our bodies make it when we're out in the sun. But I had no idea it could be connected to testosterone, too.
Yeah, vitamin D, people usually just associate it with bone health, right?
Yeah.
But honestly, it plays a much bigger role than most people realize. In fact, Healthline mentioned this one study. It found that vitamin D supplements actually boosted testosterone levels and even, get this, improved erectile dysfunction in some men.
Okay, now that is super interesting. But I have a feeling you're going to add a little disclaimer here, right? I'm all for hooking up some sun, don't get me wrong, but I'm not about to go crazy on supplements without knowing the full story.
Always a good idea to be cautious, you're right. While the research is promising, definitely more studies are needed to, really confirm these initial findings. Plus, like with any supplement, talk to your doctor first, figure out the right dose for you. That's crucial, especially with vitamin D. You can actually have too much of a good thing.
Makes sense. Makes sense. So sunshine, yes. Supplements, maybe. But talk to your doctor first. Got it. Now, I got to ask about something that I know sometimes gets a bad rap.
Hmm.
Supplements in general. What's Healthline's take?
I get it. I get it. The supplement world, it can feel like the Wild West out there, right? All these big claims, but not always a ton of science to back it up. Healthline, though, they keep it real, very grounded in the research. One thing they highlight that stood out to me is zinc.
Zinc. Okay, now that's interesting. Isn't that a lot of cold and flu stuff? What's it got to do with testosterone?
Right. So zinc, it's involved in a surprising amount of stuff your body does. Turns out, healthy testosterone production is one of them. Healthline pointed to a few studies showing that zinc supplementation, especially for guys who are low in zinc already, can actually boost their testosterone levels.
So it's not like a magic bullet for everyone necessarily, but if you're deficient, that's a different story.
Exactly. And this is another great example of why it's worth looping in your doctor, you know? They can run tests, figure out if you even need a supplement in the first place.
It's all about personalized approaches, not just like grabbing whatever's on the shelf at the vitamin store.
Mm.
Now, while we're in this realm, I got to ask about some of the more, shall we say, intriguing things Healthline mentions. I'm talking like saw, palmetto, ginger, ashwagandha, those herbs that have been used in, traditional medicine and stuff. Any validity to those claims when it comes to testosterone or
It's definitely a cool area of research, and there are some early studies out there that suggest that these herbs might have a positive effect on testosterone. But, and Healthline makes this really clear, we need more research before we can say for sure.
so maybe not ditching our multivitamins just yet, but it is pretty cool how that, that traditional wisdom sometimes lines up with what modern science is finding.
I'm with you on that one. And speaking of things that are like absolutely essential but often overlooked in our modern world sleep, Healthline really drives this point home, and rightfully so. Sleep is not a luxury, my friend. It is fundamental for hormonal balance, including, you guessed it, testosterone.
It's so true, though, right? I mean, I think a lot of us, we sacrifice sleep. It's like this badge of honor, oh, I was up all night working, or I can't seem to get off the hamster wheel. But we don't always connect the dots between that and our health.
Yeah, and the research is really clear, Healthline pointed to this one study. People who are only getting 5 hours of sleep a night, their testosterone levels, get this, they drop 10–15%. That's huge.
10 to 15%, seriously. Man, that makes you wonder how many of us are walking around with like a way lower testosterone than we could have just because we're not getting enough sleep.
It's definitely something to think about, right? Because it's not just about feeling a little tired the next day. It's bigger than that, right? You get those hormonal imbalances. It can impact everything, your energy, your mood, even your long-term health. It's all connected.
Totally. So getting enough sleep is key, no question. But is there such a thing as too much sleep? Like, if I'm hitting that 7–9 hours most nights, but then, weekends roll around and I sleep in, should I be worried?
It's a good question. And you know what? While getting enough sleep is crucial, Healthline actually points out that more isn't always better. Oversleeping regularly, like consistently doing it, has been linked to some negative stuff too. Seems like that 7–9 hours for most adults, that's that sweet spot.
That sweet spot. Gotta find it. It's funny how, like, sleep, it seems so simple, but it has this huge EE impact. Speaking of things that impact our hormones, Healthline briefly touches on exposure to certain chemicals. This is something I gotta be honest, I don't know a ton about, but those chemicals found in, like, plastics and stuff.
Yeah, that's definitely something to pay attention to. Healthline called out a couple specifically, BPA and parabens. They're in everything, it seems like. Food packaging, personal care products, you name it. And the thing is, they can actually mimic estrogen in the body, so when they build up, it can mess with that hormonal balance, testosterone included.
See, that's what I mean. These chemicals are everywhere. So is it really as simple as, like, being more mindful about the stuff we buy, the food we eat, that kind of thing?
It's a great first step for sure. Read those labels, opt for glass over plastic whenever you can, and look for personal care products that are specifically BPA-free and paraben-free. Every little bit helps.
Love it. Small changes, big impact. All right, last but not least, got to talk about everybody's favorite, alcohol. We all want to know that glass of wine with dinner, those beers with friends on the weekend. How's that affecting our testosterone? Give it to us straight.
Right, so Healthline says it's a little nuanced. A little bit of alcohol, probably not a big deal for most people, but, and this is key, heavy drinking, like chronically drinking a lot, that can definitely throw things off.
Moderation, right, as with most things in life. What's actually happening in the body when we go overboard, though? Why does that affect our testosterone levels?
So a few things going on. For one, alcohol can actually mess with the production of testosterone, like right at the source in the testicles. It can also increase how much testosterone gets converted into estrogen. Plus, let's be real, heavy drinking often comes with some other not so great habits, right? Poor sleep, not eating as well. Those can negatively impact testosterone too.
It's like this domino effect.
Yeah,
One bad habit leads to another, and suddenly your hormones are all out of whack.
exactly.
Well, I don't know about you, but I am feeling seriously empowered after this deep dive. We covered so much ground, it's amazing. Exercise, nutrition, stress, sleep, even these sneaky chemicals lurking around.
It's all connected, isn't it? And that's what's so cool about how Healthline approaches this. It's all about taking control of your own health naturally. No magic bullets, just sustainable changes that can really make a difference for your well-being.
100%. And I think, the takeaway here is that optimizing testosterone, it's not just about vanity stuff. It's not just about building muscle or, your libido. It's bigger than that. It's
Yeah.
about your health, period. It's about living longer and feeling good while you're doing it.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Yeah.
Quality of life, that's what we're talking about.
Exactly. All right, as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave you with this. What's one thing from today that really resonated with you? What's one tiny change, one little tweak that you can make starting today to nudge that testosterone, nudge your health in the right direction? Think about it. That's it for us in this episode of The Deep Dive. We'll get you next time.